Warning: this video contains subject matters and content that may be disturbing or triggering, such as sex addiction, sexual exploitation through live-streamed pornography, indications of sexual assault, alongside loud noises and flashing lights. Although the song represents real feelings or fears Jane Remover has experienced, the events happening in the narrative of the song are entirely fictional, unless stated otherwise. If any of the things mentioned upset you, please click off this video immediately. I want to talk to you about this song. This is Video by New Jersey producer, songwriter, and jack-of-all-trades Jane Remover. Taken from their sophomore album released back in 2023, titled Census Designated, a shoegaze and post-rock concept album of a story happening all over the course of one night. That, by description, might not sound all revolutionary compared to their latest album Revenge Seekers, a project which sound dabbles more on EDM, digicore, rage, and experimental hip-hop, or if you're more in the know of the shoegaze scene. But, to me, Census is certainly one of the most remarkable and moving works of art in this state of music that we're currently in. Before we move on, it is recommended that you listen to this song and Census Designated in its entirety before watching this video, if you haven't. The album is drenched in strident, warm, and hazy textures with industrial noise and abrasive guitars, underneath ambitious vocals with charming melodies and lyrics that evoke the feeling of the world crashing down on you. I could go on and on about how absolutely mind-blowing the entire album is, but for this essay I will be focusing on the 9th track of the album. Video punches you right in the face as soon as it starts with a harsh soundscape that consists of Jane letting out a lung-tearing scream, roaring guitar, bordering ear-piercing feedback noise, and a sample of a clip surfacing from an NFL game being chopped and scattered.
Bring it, you little man! I'll knock you out! I'll knock you out! Yeah, how about you be on your back the whole game too, you punk?
Without context, this would immediately scare off first-time listeners or those who aren't familiar with the harsh noise genre, or Jane's music as a whole. But in context of how the album's track listing, this is a choice Jane has made purposefully to blend from the song before, aka the title track of the album, Census Designated, that ends with similar grating walls of sound. In Video, this goes on for a minute, and if you stick around until then, it might just be worth it. Spin myself around and hear the things you say when you watch me leave. I'll have a seat at the table if I'm sticking around to watch me leave. I almost forgot what I loved until I saw you playing with yourself all night. And in your hand I know you're dying to see me again. Oh, do you see me in the video? This verse sets the entire tone of Video, as seeing oneself in a video will be a reoccurring thing in most of the stanzas. With simple yet lush guitar strumming, soft airy vocals, and straightforward lyrics, it paints a narrative of a girl who seems to be watching a live stream of a cam boy while he pleasures himself for the viewers in exchange for their money. Webcam models or sexual exploitation as a theme was also explored in the title and some lyrics of the first track of the album, Cage Girl, Cam Girl. The first, fourth, and fifth line of the stanza show that she has delved into infatuation towards the cam boy, from imagining things he has said when she leaves the live streaming and how she thinks that he longs for her to join back, to having hallucinations of herself being on the screen with him. We can see how imbalanced the dynamic of their relationship already is, as the themes of unhealthy relationships are frequent throughout this album. There is a vagueness that the second line has as it leaves room for interpretation. Does she feel as if her worth amounts to nothing due to her low self-esteem, even a seat at the table? To be desired as his drive for pleasuring, or perhaps she looks at him as merely a sex object, only filling her role as a spectator instead of joining him in the act of eating, for her decline of stooping down to his level. as sex workers tend to be frowned upon by society that deems what they do for work as something to be ashamed of, yet simultaneously paying their bills by using them for their own pleasures. I believe the third line draws support towards the first interpretation more, as the girl reveals to have not seen herself for a very long time, resulting from insecurity and/or self-loathing, and this conjures a craving of validation of any sorts from anyone, even people who aren't what they seem. She has found the perfect match when she comes across the boy online, stripping bare naked and so confident of himself as opposed to her, anonymous and insecure. Then the chorus comes in. This isn't exactly a pop or radio-friendly song, but the melodies on the chorus are infectious enough to be considered one, if you ask me. The instrumentation doesn't change much with the addition of barely noticeable extra guitars during the first chorus, as the current focal point of the sound are the vocals. But it doesn't seem repetitive or static at all. Despite with its charming melodies, the lyrics are hard to miss due to the alarming nature it brings. In an interview, Jane established the overall picture of the story within the song. Video is about striving and running towards the light at the end of the tunnel, told through this story of a girl watching a guy playing with himself online, and she tries to track him down and look for this guy in real life. In the first line of the chorus, it can indicate the work the girl has done to track down the cam boy to meet him in real life, and the things she has done or changed about herself to the point of being someone that she's not, just to succumb to all of his expectations of her, or simply to be his type of girl. With this, she's made herself think he is her light at the end of the tunnel, evidently letting her infatuation turned obsession with him taking over everything in her life, including her own safety as she goes to extreme lengths to track him down. And she is tired of shying away by pretending the obsession isn't there, even after acknowledging the fact that she doesn't know anything about him besides his naked body. The rest of this stanza has one of the most disturbing parts of the lyrics, only emphasizing her state of mania even more. Instead of letting her true reaction show when she gets what she wants, she offers him for herself to act powerless and vulnerable, like a victim, for the sake of his own personal pleasure. She thinks they're meant to be solely by the fact that she sees him and herself in his livestream, even if it's illusionary, and would let him do all kinds of things to her in the name of love. The second verse begins and the backing instrumental eventually starts to build, adding more tension while keeping the minimalistic feature of the song with the same chord progression, and with new layers added such as backing vocals that bring in a new melody, more additional guitars, a drone, and accompanying bass. In this day and age of our lives, pop stars are undeniably one of the most desirable group of people, whether the desire comes from wanting to devote one's life to them as a supporter, or to be in the search of a glamorous life filled with fame and fortune, or to be with them, platonically or romantically, mostly through parasocialism. The same kind of relationship the girl has between the cam boy in this part of the song as he is the one performing, aka the pop/porn star in the scenario, and she is nothing more than the audience member. In the first lines of the stanza, the girl creates a hypothetical that if she were the one to be the star instead of an image of a perfect and desirable version of herself, the cam boy would eventually want her, romantically and sexually, out of his own will in a heartbeat, having the same amount of obsession she has towards him being his princess. The rest of the verse's lyrics add some uncertainty to the situation. Is the girl blurring lines between reality and fiction? Seeing herself inside the video alongside the cam boy, yet he doesn't reciprocate the girl's feelings or sexual acts. Or is the girl likening herself to another girl who's in the video with the cam boy and thinks he doesn't reciprocate the other girl's feelings or sexual acts because she's not the girl? Or is she just relating herself to a girl in another porno, where the porn star does sexual deeds towards the other party, who only sits down to eat instead of giving her the same treatment? All these interpretations have one thing in common: delusion. As the second verse ends, a newer vocal melody that's ascending the scale is presented before the aforementioned drone starts to descend. The guitar stops and comes back with a gentle finger-plucked riff, instead of the strumming rhythm the song has been using up until this moment. When the chorus arrives the second time, most of the song's layers are stripped away now, leaving only vocals and guitar acting as a break from all the tension that had been built up as the song goes.
I don't know a single thing about you, and I'm not gonna act like I wanna hide when I come down. Do you want me to be a victim? 'Cause I saw us in the video.
The melody and the lyrics of the chorus stay the same, but what's interesting is that the second and third line have merged and sets forth a whole new meaning. Rather than hiding her obsession with the cam boy, the girl has been hiding the fact that she knows everything about him all along. Whether the things she claims to know can come from gathering actual information of him, from her efforts of tracking him down in real life, or just from the delusion out of fantasizing. This is one of the most pivotal moments of the song to me personally, if not the entire album. Not just because it brings a new meaning with the same lyrics, but it also introduces a whole new chord progression in the song's 3-minute mark. A descending stepwise progression that's commonly used with its variations in more popular music that you may recognize, such as My Chemical Romance, Welcome to the Black Parade, Sade's By Your Side, Elliott Smith's Say Yes, Green Day's 21 Guns, and is one of my favorites as well. In a way, the girl has managed to write the pop song to catch the cam boy's attention. This changes the tone of the song, as the previous chord progression tends to sound more like a feeling of pondering, while this part of the song feels more bittersweet. What makes this part of video even more interesting is that a reprise of the melody called the Census motif emerges from the background. This motif has been used multiple times all throughout the Census Designated album, either accompanied by lyrics or solely vocalizing. Jane Remover is known for using specific motifs for different albums and songs, interpolating or sampling elements of their older music for later works, and even revisiting older songs and giving them a second life. From the Frailty motif in their debut album Frailty, the So What references scattered all over their third album, Revenge Seekers, to the alternate version of Search Party, an outtake from Frailty. That rework made its way to Census Designated by the name Fling. They constantly reference themselves in their music and sometimes influences from others, not to be redundant or unoriginal, but as a way of paying tribute and showing love to the person they were during the making of every project they've made, and to the person who have inspired them either in their music or as a person. Instead of a flaw, this factor of their art acts more as a strength. In Census Designated, they use self-interpolation, giving them a motif or lyric reprise, to intertwine the songs and giving them one characteristic that tells you that the album should be consumed as one collective work of art narratively, contributing heavily to why it is classified as a concept album that tells a story over the course of one night from sunset to dusk, while still giving the songs distinguishable traits where one can shine without the others sonically. After the chorus ends, we are treated with a brief instrumental bridge that gradually builds up. It It brings back the bass, adding an atmospheric synth pad, alongside fragments of Jane's vocals serving as ambiance, and introduces a newer chord progression carried by a guitar that follows the same finger-plucking pattern from the second chorus. This bridge serves as a transition from the chorus to the pre-chorus. Other songs mostly use the more traditional song structures such as intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus, outro. Whereas Video uses a more unconventional song structure that immediately jumps from verse to the chorus and having the pre-chorus only appear once. Where the climax of a song releases when the chorus comes, Video uses most of its structure to constantly build and keeping tension all throughout. Another new vocal melody gets introduced as the pre-chorus starts. More guitars are added, one with a strumming pattern similar to the first few stanzas, playing along with the already established chord progression, and one faintly playing a new melody behind the vocals.
These days I always lie to you. When you watch me dance, but I'm so tired of trying to make you change your mind. All I want you to do is chase me. All I want you to do is chase me. All I want you to do is chase me. All I want you to do is chase me.
Without knowing about Jane's previous explanation about the story within the song beforehand, these lyrics may confuse you as it leaves you wondering whether these words are coming from the girl's mouth or the camboy. Drawing back to the statement, it can be concluded that some of these lines are coming out of the camboy's mouth, and some coming from the girl. In the first lines, the camboy reveals that he has been lying to the girl, telling her all the things she wants to hear whenever she joins his live stream, lying about his attraction towards her and or all the things he wants to do to her, possibly sexually. She commands him to do whatever she wants, one of which is to dance in camera, either in a sexual way or literally, as one does on live-streamed pornography, usually by paying the streamer, signifying as to why they feel both parties are fair. She gets the sexual pleasure, he gets the money. The last line of this stanza indicates that he wants her to chase him by letting himself be tracked down in real life, as he is the light at the end of the tunnel she's running towards due to her intense infatuation towards him. The line could also be coming out of her mouth this time, considering the third line, where she begs and possibly forces attraction out of him towards her by trying to change his mind, wishing again that he could be obsessed with her the same way she is with him, where he would chase her out of love. It's worth noting that in the background vocals, Jane sings another reprise of one of the former tracks in Census Designated, titled Backseat Girl, only the lyrics have been slightly changed. In Backseat Girl, they sing, "It's so ugly when you cry," to show the inconvenient state they enter when having to sit through seeing other people's emotions in front of them, feeling like they have a disregard for them. The tone of this lyric stands in stark contrast to the more self-deprecationary nature of the reprise on Video, where instead they sing, "It's so ugly when I cry." Rather than about having a disregard for when others have an intense emotion overcoming them, this altered lyric shifts the perspective from Jane to the girl in the story, dismissing her own emotions as the urges to dismiss comes from her insecurity and self-hatred, making her more vulnerable to want validation and affirmation from others, such as the camboy, even if his words or acts are insincere. The instrumentation keeps building with a ringing noise that gets more and more audible as the pre-chorus goes, and a rising white noise that eventually stops altogether with all the other instruments as Jane sings the last line of the stanza. The chorus comes in for the third and final time with a newer chord progression, parts of the progression being somewhat similar to the second chorus, with the latter half also descending stepwise, carried by a new guitar strumming pattern, faintly but surely more distorted sounding than the rest of the song, leaving only the vocals and guitar once again, yet this time barely breaking tension. The tone of the song changes once more as the progression seems to elicit a feeling that something bad is going to happen. A distorted noise starts to rise as the feeling gets more prominent, and the previous sample of an NFL clip appears again as Jane turns the last line of the chorus into a scream, and the song finally explodes into its most cathartic moment. Similar roaring walls of guitar from the first minute of the song return in the climax, following the same chord progression from the previous section, accompanied by the first ever appearance of drums in this song. It seems that a bad thing has already happened or is currently happening in this section, yet we won't know for certain until we get interrupted by 1 second of a snare drum fill and a guttural scream before the girl hurls out in a true bridge of the song. The girl and the camboy finally meet and they engage in sexual intercourse. The first line of the bridge tells us that she seems to be in a state of enjoyment of being the receiver, judging by the comparison she makes of him to the taste of honey. The later lines add disturbing context conveying how aggressive he actually is during the time they have together, doing things that leave her helpless and exposed on the floor, forced to refrain all attempts of spitting whatever comes on her mouth, whether if it's material or verbal, for he prohibits her from doing so. This is a parallel to the lyric from Cage Girl Cam Girl that reads, "Chew me up, spit me out before you can swallow," indicating that the affection of the speaker in Cage Girl gives to the person they're talking to comes off as intense and excessive, therefore being hard to digest. This mirrors the camboy's actions where his acts of love or lust seem more extreme and violent than it should be. But rather than giving her an opportunity to slowly digest them, he instead forces the girl to swallow all the things he's doing to her in an instant. This goes on for the entire night, as he savors every bit of the advantage to use her body as nothing more than a sex object, as nothing. She just watches, reprising her role as a spectator. This wording makes it seem as if she regrets meeting him in real life and letting him take use of her body, expecting him to be more gentle rather than rough, wanting it to come from a place of love rather than just lust, and all she could do is detach herself out of her body and wait for the night to be over. But pulling back a line from the chorus that reads, "Do you want me to be a victim?" perhaps she wants to feel as if she's a damsel in distress on purpose of pleasuring him, while also savoring his forceful acts towards her as a way to mirror her self-worth. Nothing. Either way, she has let the light at the end of the tunnel consume her whole. The drums in the latter half of the bridge seem to form a new rhythm, akin to the feeling of falling apart, as if the song can't handle its composure after crashing so violently. The refrain from the pre-chorus comes back, only this time with an unnerving tone, instead of an inviting one after added context from the previous lyrics in front of the already established abrasive instrumentation. The outro of the song arrives after the song comes down from the high of a cathartic release, as the bittersweet chord progression from the second chorus, carried by the gentle finger-plucked rhythm of the guitar, make its return, this time more bitter than sweet. Alongside bits and pieces of the previous NFL clips scattered in the background, a soft noise comprising of guitar feedback and a melody carried by a more distorted guitar that plays faintly. While the vocals change back from scorching snarls to the same calmed, airy state it was in during the beginning of the song, with background vocals comprising of another census motif reprise and some soft humming, yet the distressing vein of the lyrics remain the same. The first line of the outro indicates that the night has finally come to an end as the camboy sleeps near the girl, as she lies awake when she notices him talking in his sleep, saying hurtful things about her and revealing all the things he said to her were only vacant set of words with the intention of luring her to meet him, with the motive of solely using her body sexually. It is unclear from now on whether the incidents happening after the previous line are happening in reality or she has entered another state of psychosis, possibly deluding herself into thinking the self-loathing that comes from within her is exiting out of the camboy's mouth. Take everything with a grain of salt, as this is my personal interpretation of the next few lyrics. Infuriated by the lies he has told her over the course of their relationship, she cuts off one of his arms in his sleep, or fantasizes to out of spite. She then recalls the experience during their intercourse, feeding her crave of validation entirely by the fact that he has touched her body, savoring every act of his lust as love, no matter how violent. After, she catches herself appearing inside his live stream screen, only this time without having to fantasize as the camera was already on her, possibly since the entire time they were engaging in sexual intercourse, revealing that he has been taking advantage of her and their sex as a way to appease his viewers. The girl asks one final question with the one she starts the song with to both the audience and the camboy. Do you see me in the video? As the final line concludes, the song closes out its last minute with the guitar continuing to play their last notes, along with remnants of the previous NFL clip, still scattered in the background. The song ends with a fade out, giving the listener a sense of linger, helped by the chord progression it uses, letting us sit with the feeling and digest what we've heard for the past 8 minutes. Rather than giving an answer to the girl's question, it leaves the situation open-ended. Did the audience see her act of hurting or even murdering the camboy on camera? Did the act of killing even happen? Does the camboy have it in him to finally love the girl as they're meant to be with each other, like she says, wholly by the fact that she can see herself inside the screen with him? Jane leaves it up to us as the listener to decide. All in all, the narrative of this song is an epic and gruesome cautionary tale of a troubled relationship that could only end crashing in pieces and the imbalanced dynamic it brings, the dangers of sex addiction and having an unsecured digital footprint, furthermore, the act of pursuing something that will only hurt us in the end, all in 8 minutes and 43 seconds. What I love about this song is that it's such a masterclass at huge cathartic buildups and climaxes that create vast landscapes of sound using popular progressions that evoke both the feeling of ecstasy and terror, going hand in hand with powerful storytelling containing compelling, straightforward lyrics that perfectly capture the ache of pining right down to its horrors, centered around technology, surveillance, and sex, where both the narrator and the other party are unreliable. It succeeds at being mainly minimalistic with its power, but maximalist with its layers, melodically and narratively rich in such a compact space, but also gives gaps to breathe while not losing its pull for suspense. Even after the song ends, the dread lingers. Before I close out this video, I hope this analysis has drawn interest to any of you future Jane Remover fans out there who would be willing to give this song and the Census Designated album, if not their discography, a chance. Or if you're a longtime Jane fan that may have had this album rated as your least favorite project of theirs, I hope you will have a newfound love towards this song and album as well.